I noticed the pickles first. Not because I'm obsessed with pickles, but because we were suddenly out. Again. Second time that week. Then the brioche buns. Then 3 crates of ground chuck gone without a trace. I'd been running stacked and loaded for 18 months. Small burger joint on the edge of downtown Tulsa. Local beef. Fresh-cut fries. The kind of spot where cops, college kids, and dads with toddlers all waited in the same line. My name's Aaron Maddox. 36. Used to be a chef. Now I own the place. Or thought I did. My wife Lena ran the books. Always said she liked being behind the scenes. Quiet power, she called it. I cooked. She counted. That's how it worked. Until it didn't. The thefts weren't big at first. Just weird. A case here, a box there. I figured one of our suppliers had gotten sloppy. So I asked Lena. She brushed it off. Shrinkage, she said, licking her spoon from a batch of garlic mayo. It's just part of the business. Write it off. I didn't push. I wanted to believe her. But something in the way she didn't look at me when she said it, that stuck with me. Then one night, I stayed late to prep for a big corporate order, 600 sliders for a biotech conference. As I was wrapping the trays, I noticed the supply room door slightly ajar. No big deal. Until I stepped inside and saw the delivery log. Half the boxes we'd ordered that week were missing. No record. No exit logged. That's when I remembered something else. I hadn't seen our weekend courier lately. The usual guy, Tony, hadn't been around in weeks. I asked Lena about it. She tilted her head, all innocent. Oh, we've been using a different guy lately. More reliable. Doesn't mess up orders like Tony used to. Who is he? Just a guy. She said it like I was asking too many questions. And then she kissed me, quick and soft, like punctuation. But the kiss didn't land. Because by then, I already knew. This wasn't about pickles. This was about something deeper. Something missing. And it wasn't just the inventory. It was trust. I stayed quiet after that. Didn't ask more questions. Didn't accuse. I'm not that kind of man. Instead, I started checking things on my own. Late at night, after close, I'd sit at the back counter with a printout of our weekly receipts and Lena's expense reports side by side. I highlighted everything, deposits, invoices, supply costs, cash on hand. And that's when it hit me. The numbers didn't add up. We were pulling in more than I thought, almost 10% more on average, but somehow we were always scraping by. Always just short of payroll. Always waiting on the next invoice to come through. I ran a full inventory. Quietly. Methodically. That week we had a $2,300 delivery logged from Tyson Meats. Only. I'd just spoken to their rep 3 days earlier. He said we hadn't ordered from them in a month. And the payment? Already marked as paid in Lena's software. Something was off. Way off. But Lena played it cool. Kept smiling. Kept bringing me homemade cold brew in the mornings like everything was fine. She even joked that I was getting paranoid. Aaron, you need a vacation, she said, tossing her hair up in a knot like it was no big deal. You're thinking too much like an accountant. Let me handle the books. You just make magic with beef. That's when I knew I was being handled. I didn't say a word. Just smiled. And waited. Because I didn't need to explode. I just needed the truth. And the truth was already leaking through the cracks. Then the biotech client called. Our biggest corporate order yet, $21,000 for a catered lunch series. The rep was confused. Said I'd emailed that morning to cancel the entire order. I hadn't. But someone had. I drove to the client's office myself. Didn't call. Didn't email. Just walked in, handed them a bag of our signature truffle fries, and asked to speak with the event manager. She looked embarrassed the moment she saw me. Aaron, I thought you changed your mind, she stammered. We got your cancellation this morning. The email was very direct. I asked to see it. She printed it out, still warm from the tray. The sender's name was mine. The signature too. But the language? Not a chance. Phrases like logistical conflict and menu execution challenges. No way they came from me. It was clean. Formal. Too polished. It had Lena's fingerprints all over it. But I didn't say that. Instead, I said we'd make it right. Offered a discount, expedited delivery, anything they needed. The manager smiled, grateful, and more than a little confused. I drove back to the shop without the radio on. Just the hum of the engine and the question looping in my head. Why? That night, I logged into our joint account. The corporate deposit had been $21,000. But the balance was only $9,082. I confronted Lena in the kitchen, calm as ever. Where's the rest of it? She didn't flinch. Transferred to the suppliers. Had to pay off a few invoices ahead of schedule. Which ones? She blinked. Does it matter? I didn't answer. Instead, I called our main supplier. Told them I needed a full statement for Q1. There was silence on the other end. Then the rep cleared his throat. Aaron? We haven't received payment from you guys since early February. It was mid-May. 3 months. $74,000 gone. Just like that. And Lena? She was in the driveway 20 minutes later, talking into her phone with the windows up. Couldn't hear much, but I caught one sentence. Almost done. Just a little bit left. The next delivery came on a Wednesday. I was in the back, breaking down a box of produce, when I heard the chime of the front door. Normal sound. Nothing unusual. But when I stepped around the corner, I saw him. Tall guy, early 40s, dark jeans, smug look. He dropped a box of ketchup packs on the counter like he owned the place. Lena came out from the office, smiled a little too wide. Thanks, Derek, she said, all casual. Derek. Not a supplier I recognized. Not on any of our contracts. Not listed on the books. He gave her a wink. Didn't even acknowledge me. Walked out like it was his second home. I followed him outside, stood by the dumpster until he pulled away in a gray Tacoma. No company logo. No paperwork. Just a man running errands that weren't his to run. I watched the truck disappear down 11th Street. Then I walked back inside. Lena was already gone from the front. I checked the delivery slip, blank. Nothing logged, no signature, no timestamp. Just ketchup we didn't order, from a man I didn't trust. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan, listening to Lena breathe beside me, and I started pulling threads. Her maiden name was Shaw. Shaw. Derek Shaw. A name I hadn't heard in years, but one I remembered from an old story she once told, quickly, dismissively, like it didn't matter. Just some guy I used to date. I never pressed. Didn't see the point. Now I did. Because I had a feeling this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about trust traded for opportunity. And I needed to know exactly how deep this hole went. So I made a quiet decision. The next morning, before Lena got to the shop, I made a call. Not to a friend. Not to a cop. To an auditor. One I paid out of my own pocket. No records. No trail. Just one question. Can you find where $74,000 went? The auditor was quiet. Older guy. Former IRS. No small talk. I gave him access to the POS system, the vendor logs, the bank accounts. All of it. He nodded once, didn't ask why. Give me 3 days, he said. I'll call you. Don't call me. While he dug, I played normal. Lena floated through those days like nothing was wrong. Smiling at customers, laughing with staff, flipping through invoices with a highlighter like she was solving puzzles. I stopped trying to guess what was real. On Friday, the auditor emailed me a summary file. The first red flag hit me in the face. Dozens of payments, all logged as consulting fees, routed to a shell company, LMS Consulting, LLC. The listed address? A UPS Dropbox 2 towns over. And the registered owner? Lena Marie Shaw. Her maiden name. Her initials. A company she never mentioned. Never listed in our tax filings. I scrolled down and saw the totals. $12,000 here. $8,000 there. Steady withdrawals over 5 months. Quiet, slow siphoning. But the one that stuck out? A $14,000 consulting fee paid just 4 days after our corporate event cancellation. She didn't even try to hide it. Just logged it as routine overhead. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I did something I never thought I'd do. I bought a $49 mini camera from a late-night supply store. Wired it behind the office clock. Small, black, silent. Next morning, I acted normal. Cleaned the griddle. Prepped sauces. Laughed with Diego over burned bacon. At noon, Lena said she was heading out to meet with a supplier. I nodded. Didn't blink. She came back an hour later with a new phone in her hand. Shiny. Still had the plastic on. I asked if something happened to the old one. She didn't even look up from her purse. Dropped it in the sink. It was a lie. I knew because I found the old one tucked behind the flower bins the next day. And inside it, text messages. Between Lena And Derek. Almost there. He's still clueless. Tomorrow night. Cash and docs. Can't believe this worked. I stood in the walk-in cooler, holding her phone, surrounded by lettuce and betrayal, and I realized she wasn't done. But neither was I. By Monday, I'd stopped pretending. Not to her, to myself. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a setup. Lena wasn't skimming. She was extracting. Bleeding the business dry, piece by piece, before vanishing into the wind with Derek Shaw riding shotgun. But they were moving too fast now. Greedy. And I was already 5 moves ahead. I printed up a new agreement. Looked like a vendor deal, boilerplate terms, clauses about restructuring, corporate rates, tax incentives. But the heart of it? An ownership transfer. With one stroke of a pen, Lena would sign over full operational control to me, including accounts, assets, licensing. All I needed was her signature. So I waited until Friday. She was in a good mood. Wore red lipstick and those heels she saves for supplier meetings. Said she landed us a major tax break and wanted to update our paperwork to reflect it. I played along. Said I'd draft something for the records. Quick and clean. She barely glanced at it. Just signed. Click of a pen. Flick of the wrist. Just like that, everything was mine. She didn't ask for a copy. Didn't notice the notary seal in the corner. Didn't read Clause 17, exclusive operational rights transferred in full to Aaron Maddox, effective immediately. I slid the paper into my folder and smiled. That night, I moved the remaining funds into a locked holding account, legally mine under the new agreement. And the next morning? Lena showed up early. Wore sunglasses indoors. Looked light. Almost floating. She made coffee. Hummed a tune. Said she was heading out for a quick errand. I watched her walk out the door. Then I walked into the office, opened the safe. 10 grand in cash gone. She took it. Her last move. What she didn't know. The account she thought she drained? Already frozen. What she ran off with was nothing. Just a sack of decoys. And a fake transfer confirmation Derek sent her from a spoofed email, one I created myself. They played games with my trust. But I played better. 3 days passed. I didn't call her. Didn't ask where she went. Didn't report the theft. I just waited. On the 4th day, a notification popped up on our business Instagram, tagged in a photo by someone named at New Life Nomads. I clicked it. There they were. Lena and Derek. Tan. Smiling. Drinks in hand, feet in the sand. The caption read, "New life. No limits. Cheers to freedom. Hashtag Bali, hashtag starting fresh." A dozen comments from burner accounts. Fake friends. Paid hype. I stared at the photo for a long time. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wanted me to see it. Wanted to twist the knife or rub my nose in the escape. But I didn't flinch. Because while they were sipping cocktails under palm trees, a different screen on my laptop lit up with a new message. Subject, formal inquiry, suspicious transfers, internal audit. The bank had flagged the account she moved the consulting fees through. LMS Consulting. Turns out shell companies are like neon signs when they aren't registered properly. Especially when they process multiple high-value payments linked to business accounts now under review. Even better? The LLC was tied to her maiden name, her address, and her phone number. Sloppy. Impulsive. Typical Derek. I didn't report them. I just answered the bank's questions. Forwarded documents. Sent timestamps. Attached her signature on every payment authorization. And then I waited. The joint account had already been shut down. The safe at the shop was replaced. The locks changed. Her name removed from every vendor agreement. They thought they'd erased me from my own business. What they didn't realize, they were the ones walking into an erasure. A financial black hole I built with silence and patience. And now the police were circling the drain. They landed back in the US on a Tuesday. Customs flagged Lena before she hit baggage claim. She didn't even make it to the carousel. The officers were polite. Calm. Just a quiet pull aside and a pair of latex gloves. Lena called me from the holding room. I didn't answer. I already knew what the call was about. My attorney forwarded the arrest notification the moment it hit the county database. Suspicion of fraud. Financial misrepresentation. Pending investigation. Derek, however, vanished. No arrest. No booking photo. Not yet. The man had been playing this game for years, skipping town just before the hammer dropped. But Lena? She didn't have his instincts. She had loyalty to someone who'd already left her holding the grenade. The very next day, I got a strange message through a throwaway email account I hadn't used in years. No subject line, just 4 words. He left me. Fix this. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to the same bank investigators I'd been working with. Then I added one final document, a transcript, from a hidden recording taken 2 weeks before she ran. In it, Lena's voice is crystal clear. Once it's gone, we're free. He won't even know what hit him. That was the nail in the coffin. Now it wasn't just fraud. It was premeditated, intentional misappropriation of funds, with evidence. The next morning, I walked into Stacked and Loaded and opened like it was any other day. The register hummed. The griddle sizzled. Music low, steady, calm. Staff asked if I'd heard from Lena. I just said, not lately, but I could feel the weight shifting. The business was clean now. And the predators? They were no longer circling. They were sinking. I thought that'd be the end of it. Fraud charges, public shame, a manhunt for Derek Shaw. But Lena wasn't finished. 2 days after her detainment, I got a knock at my apartment door. Plainclothes officer, serious face. Mr. Maddox, we need to talk. He showed me the report. Anonymous tip. Said I was involved in wire fraud, complicit, even dangerous. Claimed I had access to weapons. I stared at the page. Where did this come from? I asked. He didn't answer. But I already knew. It was Lena. Even from holding, she was still trying to flip the board. Still convinced she could turn this around, rewrite the narrative. It didn't work. I showed them the security footage, the audit trail, her text messages, the recording. The officer's tone changed. By the end of the meeting, he was asking me if I needed protection. I said no. But the message was clear. She was desperate now. And desperate people make mistakes. 3 nights later, I saw a flicker on the restaurant's security feed. Movement near the back door. I checked the camera log. A man. Hood up. Hanging too close to the alley. I zoomed in, couldn't see his face. But I knew. Derek. He hadn't run off. He was back. And he was circling. Looking for something. Or someone. I didn't call the cops. I didn't chase him. I just filed a report. Sent it quietly to the detective handling Lena's case. Then I added one more file. Derek's old arrest from 2017. Gun possession. Fraud. Probation violation. If he so much as breathed wrong near that alley, they'd have him. And that night, I slept better than I had in months. Because I knew something neither of them did. The trap wasn't sprung. It was still tightening. Derek got sloppy. He always did. 2 days after the alley stunt, he showed up in broad daylight. Wearing sunglasses like that made him invisible. He parked across from the shop and sat there for an hour. Watching. Didn't go inside. Didn't talk to anyone. But I saw him. He didn't see the unmarked car parked 2 blocks down. Didn't know they were watching too. That same afternoon, Lena's lawyer tried to contact me. Said she wanted to make things right. Said she was confused. That she had proof Derek manipulated her. I let him talk for 5 minutes before I hung up. Because the thing about con artists, they don't know when to stop conning. They think they're always one speech away from flipping the story. But I had something they couldn't fake. Time-stamped proof. Paper trails. Bank records. Vendor statements. GPS logs. Her texts. His emails. Every lie, cataloged. Every move, documented. And then came the final piece. A neighbor near the alley had a Nest Cam. The footage showed Derek walking around the back, carrying something under his jacket. An unregistered Glock. Detectives moved in the next morning. No sirens. No drama. They picked him up outside a vape shop, calm and surgical. Found the weapon in his car. Loaded. Safety off. Now it wasn't just fraud. It was conspiracy. Attempted intimidation. Illegal possession. When they called to confirm the arrest, I asked one thing. Was Lena involved in the setup? The detective hesitated. Then answered, we have recordings. She made the call. She tried to pin it all on me. And when that failed, she tried to erase me the old-fashioned way. That was her last card. And she played it into a police sting. The headlines wrote themselves. The Bali couple charged in multi-state fraud scheme. Local restaurant owner betrayed by wife, outsmarts her and her ex. For once, the media got it right. Lena and Derek were officially indicted. Multiple charges: fraud, falsifying documents, attempted conspiracy, illegal possession of a firearm. Lena's lawyer tried to spin her as coerced, emotionally manipulated, a victim. Didn't matter. The evidence was airtight. She had her own company, her own logins, her own fingerprints on every withdrawal, every false invoice. The DA offered her a deal: testify against Derek, get a lighter sentence. She took it. Of course she did. No loyalty left, not even to her co-conspirator. At trial, I sat 2 rows behind the prosecution. Didn't speak, didn't blink, just listened. Her voice cracked when the recording played, the one where she said I'd never see it coming. She tried not to look back at me, but she did, once, and I didn't flinch. Derek kept his smug grin until the jury returned. It vanished when the word guilty echoed in the courtroom. The final result? Lena, 6 years, fraud and conspiracy. Derek, 8 years with no chance of early release. I walked out before the sentences were read aloud. Didn't need the applause. Didn't need the closure speech. They were behind bars. I wasn't. I still had my name, my business, my future. After the trial, I didn't go home. Not right away. I drove past the old shop, just to see it from the outside. Same red awning. Same flickering neon sign we never got around to fixing. But it felt different now. Quieter. Like it had been disinfected. I'd already signed the lease on a new location, 15 minutes west, in a neighborhood with no memories. No ghosts. Just hungry people looking for a solid burger. Construction was halfway done. Fresh tile, new walk-in, updated point-of-sale system. No Lena, no Derek, no weak passwords, no shared accounts, no back doors. This one, I built from scratch. Again. But this time I didn't compromise. Not on trust. Not on partners. Not on paperwork. A month later, I opened the doors quietly. No ribbon cutting. No press release. Just a clean opening and a new sign on the window that read, "No shortcuts. No lies. Just real work." Customers came fast, word of mouth, old regulars, new faces. Every now and then someone would ask, "What happened to the other shop?" I'd just smile. Didn't work out. This one's better. They didn't need the story. They could taste the difference. I hired Diego full-time, gave him a raise, let him run the lunch shift while I focused on evening service. It worked. Simple, honest, profitable. And then, a little piece of poetic closure arrived in a text from a friend in the industry. A blurry photo of a closed burger joint in another part of town. One that popped up 6 weeks after Lena vanished. It had the same font, same layout, same fake charm. Derek's attempt to start over. Closed due to non-payment. No customers. No permits. No plan. He tried to copy what he didn't understand. And it failed. Quietly. Pathetically. That's how it ends for people like that. They run out of people to steal from. Lena tried writing me 3 times. First was handwritten, sent from county lockup. Said she missed who we were. Said she was ashamed. Said she never meant for it to go that far. I didn't read past the second paragraph. Second letter came through her lawyer. A formal offer. Dropped the civil suit I'd filed in exchange for peace and mutual closure. I filed a motion instead. Full restitution, garnished wages, liens on her personal assets. Didn't need the money. I wanted the record. Third letter was shorter. Just 1 line. "You didn't have to destroy me." I didn't reply, because I didn't destroy her. She did that herself. All I did was remove the padding, expose the rot, let the weight of her own decisions do what it always does. I watched her testimony during Derek's sentencing. She wore the beige jumpsuit like it offended her. Eyes red, hair pulled back, the facade gone. The judge didn't give a speech, just handed down the sentence and moved on. No tears, no redemption arc, just 6 years and a metal click behind her. I walked out of the courthouse alone. Jacket slung over my shoulder, no one waiting on the sidewalk. And for the first time in a long time, that felt good. Because being alone isn't the same as being abandoned. Abandonment is what she did. What Derek did. What greed does. Being alone, that's just a place to rebuild. 6 months passed. The new location thrived. Better margins, stronger crew. No shadows lurking in the books. I worked the grill by choice now. Not because I had to, but because I liked the rhythm, the heat, the control. Then one afternoon, a friend from the city emailed me a clip from a local food blog. Pop-up burger spot linked to fraud suspect quietly shuts down. The article featured grainy photos of Derek's knockoff burger joint, the one he tried opening under a fake name 3 towns over. Same black tile, same menu design, same copied phrases from our chalkboard. But the place was dead. Empty parking lot, bad reviews, a 1-star Google rating that read, cold patties, colder staff. Owner gave off scammer vibes. The bank foreclosed the lease in less than 90 days. Turns out you can't build loyalty out of lies. You can't fake sweat equity. And no one shows up for a thief who doesn't even know how to cook. Derek was already locked up by then. His bail was denied after a probation violation came to light. I didn't celebrate, didn't share the article. I just clicked archive and went back to slicing tomatoes. Later that night, I stood outside the shop, wiping down the metal tables as the last customers left. The sign above the door caught my eye again. No shortcuts. No lies. Just real work. It used to be a statement. Now it was just true. Everything Lena tried to steal? She never really understood it. Because it wasn't the cash or the logo or the name. It was the work behind it. And that, she never owned. She just borrowed until the bill came due. A year to the day after Lena emptied the safe and disappeared, I opened the second location. No fanfare. No speeches. Just clean walls, fresh ingredients, and a sign out front that matched the one I'd lived by. No shortcuts. No lies. Just real work. This one sat in a better neighborhood, steadier foot traffic, stronger community. The opening week, we sold out every day by 3 p.m. I didn't tell anyone the full story behind it. Didn't need to. What mattered was this. Everything I built now had my name on it. Only mine. No silent partners. No second phones. No hidden companies behind P.O. boxes. Just me, a crew that trusted me, and a line of people waiting for something real. A few weeks later, I got a tip from someone in licensing. Derek had tried filing to open another business under a different name. Didn't matter. He couldn't raise capital. The word was out. His record spoke louder than any pitch deck. That last door slammed shut with a legal thud. And Lena? She'll be out eventually. But by then, I'll be too far ahead to matter. New city. Third location already in planning. And a quiet reputation spreading, not because I talked, but because I didn't. Because I just kept moving. I didn't scream. Didn't threaten. Didn't chase them. I just removed them. Strategically. Completely. And now? I'm still here. They're not. That's the only ending I ever wanted.